So about April of last year, I had an epiphany that really changed the way that I look at software development and life and relationships and a bunch of other stuff. And I'm going to relate that to what you guys just said, but the thought that strikes me in your conversation is that your brand is not your product, it's your process. As people.
Definitely.
You're growing as people, and you're inviting all of us as beer consumers.
I think, yeah, we're in a beta always, you know, like it's kind of, we're always just learning, and you know, I look back on some of the stuff that we've produced and it's crap, you know, but we're kind of getting better.
As long as it's crap that got you here.
Exactly, yeah, but people are on that journey, I guess. Sorry,
yeah.
Ken.
So, like the industrial model.
Yeah.
Sometimes it takes me a while to get shit
out.
No,
so, just throwing it in there for you. So
thanks.
just to throw you off.
Appreciate that. So, in this industrial model, there's this illusion that there's a product and it's infinitely replicable, and you win when you find that thing that you can replicate infinitely. You can scale, and now you have a gajillion dollars, and you can hire people to hurt other people, and then all is well, right? Yeah.
That's what we're after.
I think to a certain degree, though, that sort of what that really dismisses is the fact that humans get very easily bored. They get very easily bored of things all the time, and so, you know, why would I want to drink the same beer for the rest of my life when I could have any multiple iterations of beer that, you know, someone is choosing to go on that journey and give to me?
Right. Louis C.K., the American comedian, had a great comment that really hit me. He said, life is not measured in years, it's measured in segments. So if you ever repeat yourself, you're actually shortening your life.
Yeah.
Because it's the same thing over again. So you guys are in the immortality business.
Absolutely.
Because there's always another beer that you haven't tasted.
Yeah.
And you got to stick around to try it.
Absolutely.
And I'm looking forward to doing that for 20, 30 years at least.
Well, I'm on my second one of these, so
all
what
right.
does that mean?
I am too, which is why I get this fucking philosophical. So the epiphany that hit me is I'm a guy who tried to come up with the set of rules for how you develop software. That's one of the things that I'm known for. Oh, by the way, just a second. How many people here knew my name before James said it about 85 times? Okay, so like 2/3. Sometimes absolutely nobody knows my name, but everybody knows the stuff that I've done.
Harry, right? Yeah.
So, yeah, Harry. Yeah, thank you. Only certain people call me Harry.
Oh, well, I'm one of those.
Never mind. Okay, it's not that kind of audience, or you all need another beer. So here was the thing that hit me, is that the rules change dramatically depending on whether you know what you're doing or not. In the early stage, the growth of every product forms this S-shaped curve, the sigmoid curve. The early stages of that curve, you're looking for what the spark is. And you don't know, you can't predict. If you could predict, you'd already be doing it. So you're guaranteed that whatever makes you successful is going to be a surprise. You have to be prepared for absurdity, because 9 times out of 10 or 99 times out of 100, those absurd ideas aren't going to work. And the one time it works, it's so valuable because nobody is stupid enough to try it except you.
Yeah.
And my career is built entirely out of those absurd ideas that just couldn't possibly work. Holy shit, this one does. And it just means you have to be tolerant of failure. But in that phase, the more experiments you can run, the cheaper you can run the experiments, and the more diverse the experiments are. The more ground you can cover with the same number of iterations, dollars, days, the more value you create.
Yeah.
By the time you get to something that's really successful, where, people just want this and we can churn this out and replicate it, in the early stages, you got nothing to lose. So you might just try stuff. when you have something that's really successful, like Heineken's not going to mess with their product. Yeah, all they have to do is brew it, and they make money.
Yeah.
End of story.
Yeah.
You know, and New Coke was the great counterexample where a company took a really successful product and fucked it up. And wow, good for them, but it was nuts, completely nuts. But the rules there are totally different. Once you have that, you've got the formula. You just got to execute on the formula. And if you can execute a little bit better, you can make a bunch more money, or you can sell a bunch more beer. But the rules are totally different. In the early stages, you're willing to take enormous risks. In the later stages, you don't want to take any risks that you can help because you have something that works really well. And the lesson for me from 6 years at Facebook is there's this really steep curve in the middle that has its own set of rules about scaling, where it's one bottleneck after the next, after the next, after the next. Of course, you guys have to deal with actual bottlenecks, but
It's another story.
I told you. I'm getting philosophical. So, here's what I learned about myself. I've gone through this curve a number of times. And if you look at dollars as the vertical axis, I go, I never make any money off of any of the shit that I do. But if you look at the vertical axis as intellectual stimulation, I have a very rich intellectual life in which I've taken ideas and pushed them as far as I could, and then when they get boring, I go to the next idea. And from that perspective, it sounds like you guys aren't looking for the Pilsner that's going to sell a bajillion barrels. You're looking for challenge, you're looking for growth, you're looking for fear. You want to be afraid of, oh fuck, this is not going to work, but if it does, it'll be glorious.
I think it's kind of the time. Sorry, dude. Of the time as well. You know, it's kind of, you know, I always refer to like our generation as kind of generation shuffle. You know, it's like I go and see my old man, and he's
When
really
you say our, you don't mean
well,
me, right?
No, you're well out of it. Yeah.
Just checking.
No, but you know, the age that we have access to the internet, basically. So, you know, my old man.
Is he always this way?
Yeah, sorry, dude. But I refer to it with music because I think music's a good kind of.
We had music too.
You had music, right? But it's so you're a wind-up man, aren't you? So you know, with my old man, you know, I'll go back and I'll go, oh, I remember hearing this record when I was, you know, 16 years old, and I'll go, oh, what was it called? And I'll Google it, and I'll be able to find it. So I'll listen to that, and also listen to something that's just released, you know, 3 hours ago, and all the bits in between. So with this kind of generation that has so much access to information that we're not that interested in anything for a long period of time. I do a bit of work at a university, and all the students just want stuff fast. It's about, they don't want to wait for things. They don't want to learn how to do anything necessarily. They want it instantly, you know, which is frustrating because you kind of go, you know, the joy of life for me personally is in the learning, the process of kind of actually learning how to do something, whether it's to use an angle grinder or to use a computer or to use a paintbrush, you know. You find joy in that. That's really kind of fun. So, and I'm not saying we're like that, but I think the reason that maybe, and not that we're greatly successful either, but the reason that we've been able to be buoyant, if you like, is because people are more interested in that diversity now. It seems to be the kind of, in that moment where people go, yeah, I tried that one, you tried that one, I've tried that one, I want to try it. And it's all about like, you know, which is something that's interesting because people are exploring, you know, they're actually, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, this kind of,
not at all.
This necessity to try lots of different things and the propensity not to absorb yourself in one thing for a long period of time. But maybe that kind of, I've gone off on a tangent here.
No, I don't think it would. I see the connection with what I just said, even if you don't. So, but that's my job. So, it is that. What is that vertical axis for you personally? Is it accumulating money? So you want to accumulate money faster and faster, and then it slows down eventually because you have all the money in the world?
Yeah.
Or is it that you want to be challenged, that you want to say, holy fuck, this idea could not work unless I am even better than I think I am?